Hi everyone, welcome back to Project No Buy. In today's video I'm talking about 3 categories of fashion that I no longer partake in because I don't want my life to revolve around consumerism. I will also be sharing my current wish list in this video, so stick around for that at the end if you're interested. So now I do still have and use some of these things. This is not me saying that I've gotten rid of all these categories of items in my life. This is just saying that I will no longer be partaking or following these aspects of fashion in particular for this video. It does apply to other categories of life as well, and we might touch on that another day. This video idea was kind of sparked through noticing through influencer content as well as videos on channels like Shauna Raipari's, where I think she went through fall trends or fall shopping recently, and it got me thinking about how being immersed in these categories of consumerism keeps buying things as a center point or focal point of our lives. And this is not how I want to live anymore. And these are categories that are fashion specific that I realize stepping away from helps me not center consumerism in my life anymore. So let's get right to some of the examples and maybe you'll see what I mean. So the first category of things, again, was directly inspired by Shauna's fall shopping video, and this is transitional clothing, with a little asterisk to include anything that's impractical or uncomfortable in any way. So the transitional clothing, this is things like the sleeveless turtleneck sweaters, and I say this as I wear a sleeveless sweater vest today. This is something I would consider transitional, and again, this is a case of I am not going to get rid of things that I own and use, but it is a case of things that I will no longer be buying or no longer be interested in considering. I will no longer be tempted to add these things to my wardrobe from this point forward. Other examples are like the suede shorts, sometimes capri length pants, some kind of long sleeve tops that are very lightweight if that's not something that you would wear in summer. You know, anything that's too hot or too cold, basically. Sometimes these are like open back sweaters, right? Where the material's thick, but there's a big open back or a deep V that lets in the cold air. Certain types of shoes. I had a pair of brown Oxford shoes that had a closed toe, right? They were Oxford style, but they had a cutout at the ankle. And so you couldn't really wear socks with them without it looking strange, certainly not thick socks anyway. But you also couldn't really wear them in summer if you prefer open-toed shoes during summer, which I do. I like to have some airflow through the shoe. And so I didn't really wear those shoes very often. I have since resold them, and I will not be buying shoes like that again. You know, I like to either have definitively warm or cool or kind of mid-temperature, but not in between. I do live in a 4-season climate, and I do get all 4 seasons. Hence, sometimes it is practical to wear the sweater vest just by itself. I do also run cold, so in summer I can still wear something like a sweater vest indoors, certainly, and not be bothered about that. When I'm outside in the summertime though, it's all the clothes are off. Like we're not messing around. I guess for me this also includes like the basket weave warake shoes, is that how you say it? Where it's like covering the whole foot, but it's an open weave. So things like that are not the greatest for me. Things like long socks, or even to some extent long boots, because they're something that keeps my legs a little warmer than I want them to be in the warmer months, and is challenging to wear with full pants in the cooler months, right? Like you can only really wear long boots depending on how high up they go or how tight they are. They kind of go best with skinny jeans, at least with the jeans that I wear. I could probably wear my boots under my pants, because again, I now wear very baggy pants, but that just, you know, things that require other things is another way to say this, right? Like transitional pieces sometimes require other parts of your outfit to be carefully planned so that you don't get too hot or too cold or express the wrong season even. Like the suede shorts, for example, don't really say summer. They say winter, fall, winter rather. And in wintertime, you would probably need to wear thick fleece tights with the suede shorts. And in the dead of winter, they would probably still look a little inappropriate for the season, right? Because why wear shorts in winter? So basically anything that might look weird for the season that you would wear it. So shorts that are made out of a winter material, leather, suede, not for me, and pants that are made out of summer material, generally not for me unless I'm working or unless I'm going to be indoors most of the day. So I have discovered, you know, like I do prefer to dress as appropriately for the season as I can. And again, use may vary. You may prefer long linen pants in the summer. I do own some long linen pants, so I'm not against those, but I'm just going to evaluate those more carefully going forward so that I know I'm going to get the use that I expect to get out of them. And I think that is the core of this matter, right? Like these things, like the suede shorts, suede mini skirts, I've been tempted by them before, but now I know I will not get the use that I expect to get in the time that I'm wanting that thing. I do still have a mini skirt that is like a suit material. I have kept it because it matches my gray blazer, and I highly suspect that I will not wear it at all this year. I have not worn it at all in the past 2 years, and I suspect it might be the same unless I consciously go out of my way to try to wear this thing. And, you know, maybe I will, but it's one of those things where the fabric of it doesn't say summer, the color of it doesn't say summer, but the weight of it does not say winter. So it's a weird transitional piece. Now, bonus points here for the uncomfortable pieces that require you to, again, make concessions to your outfit or buy other things. So shoes that give you blisters, that make you wear blister patches or specific socks with them, or shirts that come off and need specific underwear, or things that you need fashion tape for. These are not things that, again, if you like wearing them, go for it. If you already have this specific underwear, go for it. I am just going to be wary of adding things in this category to my life going forward. And honestly, I don't need any more clothes. So like, this is all kind of a moot point for me, but the transitional and uncomfortable categories of fashion are completely off the table for me now. So if I ever in the future am looking at a pair of shoes with heels on them, that is an automatic no. You know, I'm telling myself now, future Alexa, do not buy any high heel shoes. You have thrown your back out way too many times. And I had an incident at my festival concerts over the summer, actually, where my right ankle kind of went out a little bit. I could still walk, but it was slow and painful. And it was honestly embarrassing. I hadn't done anything to do anything to my ankle. I did play pickleball, but you know, nothing happened. I didn't pull it during the games or anything. And it might have been partly the driving, you know, the foot on the pedal kind of thing for an hour each way. I had to commute. But again, I wasn't even wearing heels that day, but the shoes I was wearing squished my foot, the top of my foot. And it was uncomfortable to have them on, and I had to suffer through them on during the concert, but I did actually take them off during rehearsals, which is not the most professional thing to do, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And I just want to avoid any reoccurrences of bodily pain through the use of somewhat uncomfortable clothing. It's just not worth it anymore. So that was category number 1, fashion things that I avoid in order to not make my life revolve around consumerism. So hopefully that illustrates a little bit of what I mean. You know, when one thing requires the purchase of another thing, that's really putting consumerism as a central focus in your life, right? Like, what do I need to buy to make this work? What do I need to add to make this outfit complete? What do I need if I get the suede shorts? Do I also want the suede jacket, or the wide brim hat, or the tights, or the knee-high boots to go with the shorts? You know, like, these kind of outfit components just kind of put themselves on the list of things to buy when you're so immersed in that idea of the perfect transitional fall outfit, or even trends in general, is kind of something that gets you in this cycle. I have already made a dedicated video on not following fashion trends, so that's not really a direct point in this video, but you can watch that video I made. I think it was about summer trends earlier this year. The second category is seasonally themed clothing and decor. Honestly, it applies to anything this category does. I made a short video in 2024 because Owala, the water bottle brand, released a St. Patrick's Day water bottle covered in shamrocks or whatever. It was one of those things that was like, who needs this? Who even wants this? Who's gonna buy this? Did this even need to be made? And, you know, maybe somebody's really passionate about their clovers or whatever, and I don't know. But when I say seasonally themed clothing, I'm not talking about things like plaid, or even to some extent hearts. Like, some people wear hearts all year round and it's part of their own kind of style. I'm not talking about pink or red or colors or anything like that. Although that can be something to avoid, again, if having one color of something means that you feel like you need something else in this color, which has happened to me before. I, in fact, have an orange sweater vest that I keep a pair of orange sneakers that I already own, but one of the reasons that I don't declutter either of these items is because I have them both and like to wear them both together. And there's no reason to declutter unnecessarily at this point, so I'm not going to. Everything is still in good condition. And in my previous life consuming fashion and clothing, it would often be the case where it's like, oh, I have a shirt in this color. What if I get pants in a complementary color, or whatever, some kind of bottom, so that I can really make this outfit sing, or really make this cool outfit, or things like that. What if I get a butter yellow shirt and then I need a different shade of jeans to best set them off, and whatever, you know, like, the seasonally themed clothing and decor can extend to colors, I guess is what I'm saying. What I initially conceived of with this category of things to avoid, though, the obvious examples are things like the shirt with Santa on it, or the boots with leprechauns on them, or, you know, whatever examples you can think of. The jack-o'-lantern print dress. I did have a cardigan, actually. This was, again, back when I was watching fashion content, and there was this brand of cardigan. What was it? Simon? I'm not going to remember it, but basically they were decorated. It looked like the school teacher's fantasy, right? Like a school teacher who'd like to dress in themes. They were vintage, so you could thrift them, and they had kind of flamboyant decorations on them. I had a Halloween one. Is it Paul Simon? I don't know what I'm thinking of here, but you might be able to tell me in the comments. I had a Halloween one that had sequined jack-o'-lanterns, ghosts, bats, you know, stripes down it. And it was in really, really good condition. I did resell it, and I just don't need to be buying that stuff again. No matter how beautiful it is, no matter how good conditioned it is, no matter how fun and inspiring it is. I actually thought I would hang that sweater up on my wall for Halloween decor because it's something that I could wear during that time of year. I was a teacher for a year, so that was kind of when I bought it, actually. And I thought I could hang it up on my wall for the month of October, just other than that. But again, it didn't happen. I ended up selling it. I never wore it because it wasn't something that was true to my style. It was very much a seasonal item that I just wanted at the time. I was influenced by the people thrifting those cardigans, and the people seemed cool to me, so I wanted to be cool too, and I bought one and regretted it. So no more seasonal things, no more color themes, no more of any of that, centering consumerism in my fashion life. The third big category here is multiple categories of cool. Now, this one takes some unpacking because there is, I guess, the backstory for me of having one area of life that I collect things in, and that is my handbags, my purses. I have one of them right here. It's got the forbidden items in it, so I won't bring it down and show you. But I basically have kept this collection through the no-buy process so far, and I think I have essentially made the decision, at least for now, to keep this collection, to not declutter it for no real reason other than wanting to have less stuff. And I'm going to evaluate this very slowly and carefully. And in my kind of history of being interested in fashion, I have always had a penchant for, is that the way to pronounce that? No, it's not. It's a French word, I guess, so it's penchant. And I still probably butchered that, so apologies, everybody. For adding a cool bag and cool shoes to my outfits. And cool is subjective, right? Like, I can't tell you that my Polen bags are cool if you don't like them, right? Like, it's all up to you, all up to me. But I would feel cool adding a kind of sculptural leather bag and fun shoes, whether that's a colorful sneaker or a nice kind of elegant heeled booty, or, you know, something that's a little unexpected, in other words. Like my prized shoes that I will keep even if I can't wear them are my bright red boots with a little heel on them. And those are, I guess, my categories of cool that I am not willing to give up. But I have dabbled in many other category of cool in my fashion history. And so what I mean by that is like tops with unique necklines, earrings or jewelry, or pants that have different shapes. And again, I still wear what I would consider sculptural pants, but it's not for the sake of being cool anymore. It's not for the sake of fitting into a trend anymore. And it's not, I guess it's kind of, maybe this is about trends, and that is kind of picking and choosing the trends that you actually like. But for me, in my mind, it's kind of about my way of formulating a look or an outfit, or like how I approach my style. And I am committing to not changing or not rotating through different aspects of style, in that I would like to keep my purses the focus of the cool factor of my outfit. And therefore, if everything else is basic, that's kind of how I'm going to approach it in this stage, in this era of my fashion life, if that makes sense to say. Some of it might also be about how much I care about things, right? Like in the past, I cared about updating almost every aspect of my wardrobe whenever updates were there to be had. Whenever the fashion changed, whenever people went from wearing large t-shirts to small t-shirts to baby tees or whatever, you know, like I would be on that train. I would be buying the right size, the oversized, the baby tees, and I would be riding the wave. I would wear skinny jeans when skinny jeans were in, and then baggy jeans when baggy jeans were in. I'm off of that wave now. So that's maybe what else I'm saying here, is that I don't really care about the trends in any of these categories, or I don't really care to be cool in any of these categories. I will maybe continue to care about pairing a bag with my outfit, not necessarily acquiring new bags, although I am about to share my wish list and you might kind of have a bit of a chuckle or a head shake for me when I do so. But it's kind of a mental commitment or a mental approach where I have reached a point that I don't really care about riding the waves of anything except my own kind of passion for, in this case, handbags. And I, to a lesser extent, still appreciate matching my shoes to an outfit or choosing them with intention, but I'm not looking to add anything new in this regard, if that makes sense. And I know shoes and bags are kind of like a common area for women, stereotypically women. Men too, they can do it, but stereotypically women have a thing for handbags and shoes, right? Like that's nothing new. But I feel different in making the commitment to not really care about anything else. And honestly, I don't really want to care about bringing in anything new to my wardrobe, even in the realms of handbags and shoes. It's just about the intentionality of approach, more so than anything. And I guess I'm kind of giving myself a free pass to just wear the same kind of outfit combos to work especially. But like, if I pair these pants and this top and that's just kind of my go-to, that's fine. You can choose a bag, you can choose the shoes, but the outfits, just stick to your formula, stick to your jeans and button down or whatever, that's fine. And you can feel cool by choosing a different bag today or whatever, especially since I already have so many bags. So maybe that was the easiest way to make sense of it in terms of practical outfit approach, right? Choose your formula, choose a different bag if you want to feel cool, choose a different shoe out of what you have, and you're good to go. You don't need to mess with all the other things, the different shirts, the jewelry, the different colors of shirts and pants and socks and whatever. Like keep that on the fringes of your fashion radar if you must know about it, but I definitely don't feel the need to participate in it in the same way anymore.
And as always, your results may vary. Part of this for me might be because I've realized that my own personal style is actually more like the far right example in this image here, where the outfit itself is just less done up. There's no belt. The accessories aren't really that fussy, but there's still a very clear level of intentionality there with the trousers, the shoes, the hat combo. And so that's kind of maybe more authentic to my actual approach, whereas a lot of the trends were leading me kind of astray in the past.
It does feel like throughout the course of this no-buy endeavor, I've broken up with all the other categories of fashion to some extent, some of this through trial and error and making mistakes even during this no-buy year. But the outcome is that I do feel like I can successfully not buy most things in most cases now. Whether it takes that method of tricking myself, the wish list and wait, where I'll put it on a wish list and then realize a week later that I don't even want the thing anymore, give myself time for that desire to pass, or whether it happens more quickly, whether after making a video about something or talking about it or thinking about it, I realized that it would just become another unused thing in my collection of things, like the French press and the earrings, and the various makeup things that I thought I wanted and realized now that they would just become superfluous junk in my bathroom drawer. Again, some of these items I made the mistake of purchasing, a lot of the makeup items, so many in fact that I've decided to do a dedicated video on all the makeup that I've purchased and regretted during these past 2 years. It'll be up soon on the channel. Same with the shoes that I purchased. I bought some in January, and one of those pairs is actually one of the uncomfortable pairs that was squishing my foot during the concert that I wore them for. So regrets. And I, through this process, have realized that what I really want is to have less, and what that's going to require is being able to admire things like beautiful shoes without buying them. And I kind of already knew this, but I didn't know this, if that makes sense. I'm gonna have to be able to sit there and feel a powerful desire for lovely shoes, and sit there until that desire goes away, or at least fades to the extent that I move on with my life and not think about them ever again. Or, very rarely when I consult my wish list, maybe. So I guess bringing myself to a pair of shoes that I've been admiring lately, I will go to my wish list now and share what's currently on it. The first thing that was a relatively new addition is the Ganni lace-up flats. They're black, and my rationale there was that they could be a pair of concert shoes, because I did have to retire a pair of heels that I just don't think I'll ever feel comfortable wearing again. And my job has increased in services. So I'll be at work more and I'm down a pair of shoes. And I do still have, I think, 3 or 4 options of shoes that I can wear. And do I actually need one more pair? You know, that's a question that's still up for debate. And I should really wait until the season starts and ascertain whether or not I would feel the loss of the pair of shoes that I no longer wear, which is what I'm going to do. I'm not buying anything. I'm not making moves on anything right now, but I'm just using this as an opportunity to speak through the desire for the things that are currently on my wish list, some of which were kind of more recently added. Now, with these particular shoes, there's already the kind of barrier of the price being almost $500 and my new kind of calibration of what's worth buying not having the room for $500 shoes. And so I already know that I would be approaching the secondhand market if I want to get these name brand, which the name of the brand doesn't register as something important to me anymore, unless it's something that has a direct impact on the quality of the shoe. But in this day and age, I'm not going to be paying $500 for a pair of shoes that will inevitably wear out at some point. The reason I'm attracted to these particular shoes is that they're interesting, which is kind of a requirement for me and my shoes, and they're also flat and could be used for multiple formality settings because they have enough details to be, or interest rather, to be formal, but they're comfortable enough to be casual. And so that's kind of why I was drawn to these. Now, these are not the only shoes that fulfill those functions either, right? There are much cheaper options, there's kind of less trendy options, and there's many benefits, I guess, to letting this marinate before making any decisions, which is what I'm doing right now in terms of having a wish list. Now, these were a strong enough desire that they made it to the wish list, I guess I will say, because there are other desires that I've talked about that have not made it onto this wish list at all because I've already realized that they're not long-term, they're not real, they're not true, they're not things that are actually worth giving more of my time thinking about even. There's a couple of items on my wish list that have already been there, and a newly added accessory, I guess you could say. So the electric instrument, and I put the bow on here as well because I now know the specific one that I want, which also comes at a specific price point, and so that's why I put it on here so that I can keep track. If I open it up, I think this bow is between $700 and $800 for this carbon fiber bow that's designed for extended string electric instruments. So it's kind of a hybrid violin bow that can work on the thicker strings of a 5 or 6 string. But either way, I'm not moving on that purchase until I've saved up more money, and probably will get it together with the electric instruments. Not 100% sure, but because I mean, I can use this bow as a spare bow for my regular instrument as well. So it's not as if it would be completely silly to have. I've actually been in the market kind of for a better spare bow, since the spare that I have is a bow that's previously been broken. It's probably valued at less than $700, which is, for a string instrument bow, is really cheap, sorry to say. But moving on to the more pertinent things in a fashion themed video, the Pollen small leather goods, you know, the same brand as the purses I have a collection of, have made it onto the wish list. I think one of these was already on here, the pouch that I could put a phone in and other essentials. And then the new one, the newly added one, is the silver pouch, silver kind of small baguette style bag. And unfortunately, what I have come to realize is that the collection categories of things, which for me is really just the Pollen handbags, become easy exceptions for things to want and things to buy, and things that it's hard to change my real perception of. And it's still true that I have determined that I like some of my collection models more than others. So there's some that I probably wouldn't choose to wear. I haven't decluttered them yet because, again, I'm being very careful about this, taking it slowly, and may have people in my life that would like to receive these. But while there are models that I actually don't keep on my shelves anymore because they're not necessarily my favorites, I still have this kind of urge to consume more from this brand, to kind of build the collection. And this is where I guess we get a little bit, I don't want to say it's emotionally complicated, but I guess it kind of is, because I do still have the goal of not wanting to buy things that I don't need, and not wanting to have robust collections, not wanting to have things that I look at just because of interest, or have like a predetermined desire for, in a way, which is kind of what was happening with this brand. And when I browsed the newest release, it was an instance of like, should I want this? Because I have almost tried every bag from this brand. There's several models that I haven't had or haven't looked at in person, so it's not like I get everything from the brand without any question about it. But there is an element of consideration that is not there for other brands, other things. And in some ways, the collection of this brand prevents me from considering other brands, which is positive, maybe, but it's negative in that anything that this brand does is a consideration. I'm curious to know if there's anything on your radar like this. I might be speaking to the wrong crowd again, because I think this was had a stronger pull on me when I was more immersed in fashion, more immersed in the shopping world in general, consuming more influencer content that centers consumerism as a goal of life, or as something to strive for, or as something that's shown to us as aspirational. So maybe in a perfect world, there won't be any of these categories of kind of condoned overconsumption, which is what this is for me right now, right? Like, in no other area of my life do I consider it okay to have so much more than I need of something, right? Really, it's just purses and Labubu's at this point, because I don't even need one of those and I have more than one. But nobody needs more than 10 purses, and here I am with more than 10 purses. And I have been systematically decluttering my wardrobe because nobody needs as many clothes as I have. And I felt good about that process. I felt like I was approaching a better place in doing that decluttering, even gently and slowly. But I'm not ready to get there with the handbag collection, or, is it okay to have a collection of things that's overconsumed? I'm actually leaning towards no being the answer to that, but I guess I just don't know how to surpass this final mountain of this collection category being something that I feel okay about over-consuming. So basically, I'm not really any further with this than I was back when I made the video on collections and watching those TikTok videos about how everybody has a collection. And while my collection is not Tree Hut bath scrubs or Stanley cups, and therefore might look a little better or a little less like a overconsumption problem, it's still something I consider something of an overconsumption problem, or something of a compromised consideration problem, right? Like, my judgment is not fully sound in the realms of bags by this particular brand, as evidenced by my wish list here. Now, I do think I've been priced out of any of their handbags proper. So these are both small leather goods, and perhaps there will come a point when even the small leather goods are priced at a point that I am not willing to spend on them either. And so maybe the budget will be the deciding factor as far as when I never buy another pull-in bag or item again. And, I hope I can do it myself without the budget being the determinant factor. And even spending a couple $100s on one of these smaller leather bags is still arguably not a good thing to do, or not a good use of money. It's definitely not a good use of money when I already have things that I could use. So I know that for a fact, but we'll just have to keep doing the work, I guess, and wait and see. All right, still on this list are the East Fork dishes, which are on there because they're made in the US, somewhat locally, I guess, North Carolina. I have not yet looked for local to me, like Nebraska makers. And, it's kind of more of a placeholder as far as when we are looking to replace dishes, we could get this brand, or we could look locally for something similar to this. I still have the Tommy Emmanuel concert, the guitar player, and the vine plant. And those are all of the things on my wish list. So that's a total of 8 things now. And I've removed the other things. I think they were another dish set that was in the shape of a ball that, again, I saw on some YouTuber's channel and had on there as a placeholder. But in a practical sense, it's not something I could ever have. And so it was one of those things that's nice to look at. It's nice to know that somebody designed that and made it, but it really doesn't need to be on my wish list. I also removed the flower hair clips, which was, again, a placeholder for a possible craft I could do with my kids sometime. If the time comes that we want to do that, we'll probably remember that. I don't need to have it on a wish list. And what else? Oh, I think I had some period underwear on there. And that was something that I did end up buying. And I don't think I talked about it in a monthly recap, because it was kind of in the in-between stage from May and June, or June and July, where I did actually just go through and purchase the underwear, given that it was once again a sizing issue, where the options I had from previous years were just simply too small, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. I view that as a need more than a want, and decided to just go ahead and upgrade my set. And I think at the time it wasn't during one of the shopping relapses that happened in the months of June and kind of in the month of August, if you consider the extent of the shopping in the recap a relapse, which maybe it feels like a relapse because of the back to school shopping that happened, not for me. Anyway, moving on. I think that was everything that I had on the previous wish list. Notably not on there is the hoop earrings I talked about, the French press, some other Polen bags that I looked at and decided I was never gonna seriously want or have, makeup, some other black shoes, some hoodies, the white Converse, some more eyeshadow. These are things that I may go through at the end of the year because I take screenshots of things that I briefly want and in a previous life might have just bought without thinking about it too much. So I kind of almost have two wish lists now, right? The serious wish list and the kind of fleeting wish list of things that I might have bought before. Maybe the serious wish list will also become like that, where I can evaluate these things and not buy them, which is not necessarily how it's been going so far, well, I guess some of these things that got taken off were not bought, so that was good. Even if the underwear did end up being purchased. But again, that being on the wish list was kind of a placeholder for something that I actually needed, so maybe that's different. Anyway, we will see how it unfolds. I will check in again at some point with whether I ended up buying, well, the nearest points of danger, I guess, are probably the shoes and then maybe the small leather goods there, because the electric instrument stuff is going to be later. The plates may or may not. I mean, we keep on breaking plates, not on purpose, obviously, but just banging them on the counter accidentally when we put them in or out of the dishwasher. And we still use them if they're usable. But I don't know, the plates might be something that comes up as well. I'll keep you posted. How about that? Let me know what's on your wish list right now. Let me know your wish list system. If you have multiple wish lists like I seem to now, that'd be interesting to know. Let me know if there's any categories of fashion or other consumables that you avoid on principle now so that your life is no longer centered around it. And with that, I will say bye for now and see you in the next one.